Good morning. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. What's going on, guys? How are you today? Good to see everybody. Let me see who's here in the chat. Mr. Nerd Beast, what's up, buddy? We have Dan Ruggs. What's up, man? Good to see you. Dan Ruggs Riggs List. You still haven't changed your name. Perfect. Alexander, what's up? Heinz Crypto, my man. Dakota Miner. Who else is here? Jeffrey, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Lil Stanky, who else? Jacob, good to see you, buddy. And we have Steven Cicero. What's up, man? Integra guy, good to see all of you. All right, market sucks today, but we have a pretty entertaining video to watch from the Paul Barron Network, but we'll get into that in a minute. Market today, jeez, as you can see the red on my face. Look at this. What is happening? Ethereum's under 2,000, and you know what? I almost sold some Ethereum yesterday. I should have. I knew I should have. 29,000 BTC. I honestly think this might have a lot to do with the BS that went on yesterday, but at the same time, I don't know how it would really affect it, but who knows? Let's see. Good morning, Mr. Dom G. Good to see you, buddy. All right, crypto bubbles. You guys ready for this? This looks awful. Everything except for the FTT token is down. This is miserable. But hey, it's all right. I guess we've seen worse days, right? Maybe not. Who knows? All right, fear and greed index 63. Sorry for blinding you guys right there. All right, we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, top 10 coins we're doing on CoinGecko. Number 3 is Tether. We have BNB, USD Coin, XRP, Cardano, Dogecoin, Lido Staked Ether, and Polygon. Also, today's video is sponsored by Hero Miners. If you guys don't know, they are having a $10,000 USD Ironfish airdrop. This is starting tomorrow. So if you guys mine here over at this pool, Hero Miners pool, you guys will get a chance to win. Let me see. Just wanted to bring this up to you guys because I thought it was quite nice, right? You get a free airdrop of $1,000 to 5 miners. They have two 500. Sorry, the second place is $500 to 5 miners, and then third place would be $100 to 25 miners. So literally, all you guys have to do is mine to this pool, and it doesn't cost you anything more, like at all. Like you can put one card on it. Doesn't matter. Just mine to it. Why not? If you're gonna mine Ironfish when this thing comes out, go check out Hero Miners. All right. Now, let's get to the topic of this, right? We have the Gary Gensler grilled by the US full breakdown. So this is with this is actually with like a meta lawman, I guess. I don't know what that term means, to be honest. It's just some guy that knows the law way better than us, right? So I want to listen to this. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Paul Barron Network. He's actually really good. He's got a cool setup, goes over a lot of news stuff, typically in the afternoons. I think it's like after I don't know, around 2ish or so. If you guys actually, I think it's 2 or 3. I think it's right after I go live usually. If you guys want, go check this video out down in the description below. I'll leave it down there. But let's watch this. This is it's really good. It's really they light up Gary Gensler pretty hard, and it's kind of sad to watch, but at the same time it's hysterical because F them, right? All right, let's see what they have to say. I'm gonna turn this down. And let's get into this. If you guys want to talk, any questions, feel free. I put it at 125 for the speed, so it's a little faster. This is literally an hour long, but they get into so much stuff. It's totally worth watching it. So sit back and enjoy the Gary spanking, says Nerd Beast. Absolutely. All right, let's get into it. Again, this is Paul Barron Network with TechPath.
All right, so today marks a very important day, I think, in the history of not only crypto, but also the SEC's enforcement actions and a lot of the antics and or actions that the SEC has been taking within not only the crypto community, but also in the area of innovation. And I think that's going to be one of the discussions that Congress is going to continue to pressure SEC Chair Gensler on. We're going to be breaking down some of the clips for you guys today, give you an idea of maybe where this is going, and do this with one of our special guests. So it's going to be fun. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into TechPath. Joining me today is, of course, James Murphy, who goes out there on Twitter as Meta Lawman. So great to have you back, James.
Hey, Paul, great to be with you. A pretty exciting day today.
Yes, lots of things happening. And I think, James, when you look at just in general, the fact that we've got Gensler in front of Congress, essentially kind of representing the SEC in the sense of, hey, we need more money. At the same time, here's kind of my resume and what we've been doing. Things didn't look too well for him. We're going to play a lot of clips and get your opinion on each of those. I want to start off the show with a couple of things that are a little bit, I think it kind of shows Gensler in the light that many people are looking at. The first thing is—
Ether is one of the most popular digital assets
Hang on
in flowers
a second,
Ethereum.
we're playing a clip. Yeah. So I want to showcase this one story right here, which is
See, everyone messes
when
up.
Gensler was basically shilling Algorand. And then, of course, we know here recently with Algorand's action, the enforcement action from the SEC claiming that Algorand is a security, all of that. And now you've got footage that has emerged all the way back from 2019, I think was when it was actually done. This was actually the period in which there was the footage of Gensler basically saying, hey, Silvio Micali and Algorand, they do these great things. It's kind of talking out both sides of his mouth. Obviously, he was an MIT professor. We'll get into that in a minute, talking about and teaching crypto. If you look at just the scenario of that happening to a chair of the SEC, I mean, that doesn't look great, but is this normal activity from past chairs in your litigious career out there of dealing with these people? Is this normal?
No, it's not normal. And you're right. I have dealt with this with the SEC for over 30 years. The SEC had an opportunity to select particular tokens that were traded by Bittrex and say these are securities. The fact that they picked Algorand is puzzling, the Algo token, because it's on videotape. You can see the now chairman of the SEC promoting Algorand and what it is capable of doing. He said you could run the entire Uber platform on Algorand, and he was pretty excited about it, and he touted the founder, Silvio Micali, as the Turing Award winner. So it feels like he's hyping this project, and that was April 25th, 2019, and the ICO went live just a few weeks later. So this is very odd that they selected a token where the chairman of the SEC has involvement in promoting the project.
Yeah, this was the chart right there of what happened when the chair came out and basically did exactly that.
Look at that. Look at that. He shills Algorand and it just dumps. That's insane. Insane. But they're getting to the good stuff, so just bear with us for a second.
I mean, it just seems to me, I have no idea why someone would set themselves up for this kind of scrutiny, because you can't imagine, I can't imagine that people would not think, including the SEC, not think that that's going to get exposed out on the interweb. So is there something else here that maybe we're missing around the situation with Bittrex?
There could always be something that we're missing, but it looks like a faux pas to me. To me, best case scenario is Bittrex is going to insist that Gary Gensler is a witness. And they have to get his documents, see his communications with his friend, the founder of Algorand, and take his deposition. That's best case scenario. It could be worse. If he's actually, promoting this project, it could get worse than just being a witness. He could find himself conceivably as a defendant in other litigation, because what happens in these scenarios, Paul, is once the SEC goes on record, files a complaint and says this is an unregistered security, as night follows day, a group of plaintiffs' lawyers immediately file class action lawsuits against the issuer of that security and the management.
100%.
And so they've got to be absolutely livid that Gary Gensler apparently approved this, and now they're going to be facing a raft of class action litigation.
Well, if you think about it, investors, they're listening to what the SEC has to say. Obviously, a good due diligence of any investor might look at that project and say, okay, this thing was going along. The SEC chair is over there saying this thing is okay. Everything's fine. I'm going to go ahead and invest in this in 2020, 2021,
100%.
maybe even in 2022. So there's a lineup, much like what if you look at the Ripple case, same kind of scenario that happened with XRP, is we've got a massive amount of retail investors that have been exposed, and obviously now this could open up some scenarios. Would that be possibly a track for Algorand if this does go through?
Well, you make a really good point. If you think about an investor who's diligent, wants to do some due diligence, has heard about Algorand, the Algo token, and wants to look into it. Let's say they go on YouTube. What are they going to find? They're going to find the chairman
Gensler
of the SEC saying this is a great project that has been created by a genius, and you can run Uber on it, and he seemed excited about it. So yeah, I think some purchasers of the Algo token are unhappy right now, and it's hard to predict where this will go, but it's one of those things that once you start it moving, it's a little hard to stop. And so I think we're going to see a lot of attention on Gary Gensler himself.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, I want to get
that is an understatement of the year. A lot of attention. It is like awful. They put this guy in such a line of fire. It's great. It is absolutely great. So stay tuned. Let's continue. It's
a few clips here. We're going to just start off with Patrick McHenry talking about ETH as a security. Listen in.
Wait, hold on. So I don't know if you guys saw this. If you did, like, this is the most, like, I guess, clip that's around, like the most popular one, right? Where he can't even answer if Ethereum is a security or not. It's ridiculous. He asked him 4 times, literally point blank 4 times, is Ethereum a security, and he can, or a commodity, and he cannot answer. Let's see.
Coming in.
Please wait.
Ether is one of the most popular digital assets and powers the Ethereum blockchain. Back in 2018, then SEC Corporation Finance Director Bill Hinman stated that he believed Ether was not a security. Last month, CFTC Chair Benham expressed his view that Ether is a commodity. The State Attorney General of New York asserted in a court filing last month that Ether is a security. Clearly, an asset cannot be both a commodity and a security. Do you agree?
Actually, all securities are commodity under the Commodity and Exchange Act. It's that we are excluded commodities. But I would agree that a security cannot be also an excluded commodity and an included commodity. I'm sorry, Chair, just to talk about the Commodity Exchange Act more precisely.
Okay, so do you recognize, how would you categorize Ether then?
Look, I think that the general sweep of what Congress did, not just in the 30s, but as amended.
I'm asking you, sitting in your chair now, to make an assessment under the laws as exist. Is Ether a commodity or a security?
Without speaking to any one.
I know you've repeatedly said you're not going to speak to one, except you've spoken to one, Bitcoin. So I'm asking you to speak to a second one, the second largest market cap here.
And speaking to the tokens, there's 10 to 12,000. If there's a group of entrepreneurs in
I'm asking
middle,
about one.
The public is anticipating a profit based on the.
I'm asking you a specific question, Chair Gensler. I said this in private. This should be no shock to you. I'm asking this question. Is Ether a commodity or a security?
And again, it depends on the facts and the law, and if there's a group of individuals.
I'm asking you about the facts and the law sitting in your seat and the judgment you are making.
And so, Mr. Chair, I think you would not want me to prejudge because I'm also.
But you have prejudged on this. You've taken 50 enforcement actions. We're finding out as we go, as you file suit, as people get Wells notices on what is a security in your view, in your agency's view. I'm asking you a very simple question about the second largest digital asset. What is your view?
And my view is if there's a group of individuals in the middle that the public is
anticipating. All right, so let me just ask a second question then. Do you think it serves the market for an object to be viewed by the commodities regulator as a commodity and the securities regulator to be viewed as a security? Do you think that provides safety and soundness for the product? Do you think it provides consumer protection? Do you think it serves the value of innovation? I think no should be a very simple answer for you here.
I think
that uncertainty is bad, is it not?
And I think that Congress has said that there's one agency, the Securities and Exchange Commission, under this committee.
And you won't answer my question, and you're the head of that agency. So give me a break. Come on.
All right, so McHenry kind of getting frustrated there with Chair Gensler.
What do you guys in the chat think about that? This is ridiculous. He can't even give a straight answer, and he's the guy. He's the head guy. Like, give a friggin' answer already. Why do they have to talk to you like you're 5? I don't even know. That's literally something I would ask my daughter if she didn't understand how to answer me. I'd have to ask her 10 times. Like, this is what they just did to him on public television, and he was literally shaking.
For obvious reasons, I think the fact that they are waffling on ETH now after Hinman, also after even statements by Gensler himself, and you look at the scenario where he's kind of really just putting himself where he won't paint himself into a corner.
And real quick, it gets way worse, by the way.
This kind of tactical maneuver, is this normal for what you've seen other SEC commissioners and other SEC officials do when they don't necessarily have a position? Or is it something that is, when there's no law to really reference, they just kind of backpedal and say, let's look for an enforcement and see if we can get a case decision?
No, this is not normal. What we have here is the chairman has said repeatedly that it is clear as a bell which crypto assets qualify as securities. But when he's asked about the second largest one ever invented, upon which thousands of projects have been built, he refuses to say whether it is or is not. That violates the Constitution. It violates some fundamental ideas of due process that go back 1,000 years. And the premise is individuals, citizens, are supposed to be told ahead of time what is prohibited. So now, having watched the man in charge of enforcing those laws refuse to tell you and me and everybody else who's involved in Ethereum projects whether they're engaged in illegal activity. He simply refuses to tell you. It violates the Constitution very profoundly. I mean, something really fundamental about the rule of law and respect for the rule of law. This is totally unacceptable by anyone charged with enforcing the law.
It's embarrassing. Let's be real. It is beyond embarrassing that he can't give a goddamn answer.
Yeah. All right. So we've got another clip here coming in from
it gets so much worse,
who was really going after the insider trading around SVB and what they've been doing for 12 years. Let me jump over to that clip.
As you know, Section 956 of Dodd-Frank requires the SEC and several other agencies to write rules to ban incentive-based executive compensation that encourages inappropriate risk-taking. It has been almost 12 years, 12, since we passed Dodd-Frank, and the SEC, like other required agencies, still hasn't finalized this rule. So what step has the SEC taken under your leadership to finalize this important rule?
We have initiated discussions with the other 5 agencies. We have to work with the bank regulators and the Federal Home Loan, FHFA, to do this. But I'm committed to get this done. We have to do it in coordination with the bank regulators.
When? Another 12 years? Sir, it has been publicly reported that Greg Becker, the disgraced CEO of Silicon Valley Bank, sold $3.5 million of Silicon stock less than 2 weeks before the bank's collapse, raising questions about whether he ran afoul of insider trading laws. What actions has the SEC taken to investigate stock trading by bank executives leading up to the bank's collapse?
If I could step away from any one circumstance and say it's against the law to trade on material non-public information. That's whether you're at a company or whether you're in just a private citizen, that's against the law, and we take that very seriously.
All right. Okay. So 2 things here, James. I want to get into the issue of length of time that it's taken them to come to an assessment, and then secondly is and I'm not looking for a legal opinion here, but if you look at the framework, isn't this the job of the SEC to go in and investigate those kinds of tax moves for senior executives of publicly traded companies such as Silicon Valley Bank?
Yeah, so there are 2 questions there. Number one, the delay in promulgating these regulations is really odd. It's something that we talked about at my old law firm. I ran a law firm for 11 years up until recently, and I had many former SEC lawyers who worked at my firm. We were a securities litigation regulation law firm. And, it was simply a lack of will to devote the resources necessary. There was a big undertaking made by Congress and put on the plate of the SEC. There's no doubt about that. A huge load of work, but the progress is inexplicably slow. With respect to the stock trading, sometimes it makes good headlines, but you have to drill down a little bit. So there's this rule called 10b5-1 plans that allow insiders at public companies to establish a plan ahead of time about how to sell stock. And they're not actually making the decisions at each point in time, but rather the plan theoretically is established when they do not have any inside information that the market does not have. And at that point, they do a plan with a broker and say, okay, every quarter when the window for trading opens after earnings, typically a couple of weeks after earnings go out, do this, trade this much. If the price is this, do that. And it's not under their control per se. That was an answer that worked, that people felt worked pretty well, but you're hearing a lot of desire to rethink that. And so, yes, I would not be surprised to see proposals for more stringent rules, because you almost always see these headlines about, wow, look, the president of this failed bank managed to sell a bunch of stock within the 2 or 3 months before the failure, and it makes everybody look bad. And so that they don't like to look bad. So I would say there's going to be some focus on reconsidering rules there.
All right, I'm going to get into the 3rd clip here. This is more around the performance side. This came in from Mr. Sessions.
almost every.
And what's pretty funny is they actually do end up calling Gary out, asking if him and Elizabeth Warren talked behind the scenes about something they were questioning them on. I don't know if it's this clip right here, but it's actually quite funny.
Every filing that companies make are public filings. They already are public. It already is known. And once again, I find you trying to hide behind things for either a lack of willingness to be candor about it, or you're trying to obfuscate your oath of office, which was well and faithfully.
Or do you guys think that he took money from FTX? Like, was he approached by Sam Bankman and, swindled in any way with money, and he's really nervous about them looking into him? Is that why he's acting like this? Because he's literally like a scared dog in a cage right here. It's so weird. The way he's acting, it's so out of the norm, dickish behavior, I guess.
This committee is not happy with that attitude or performance. I was told by you, after we'd had numerous discussions with your staff about a company that had a capital formation issue with millions of dollars at risk at the last minute based upon their public filings, that you would not respond at all or even discuss the matter with the company to try and alleviate a problem for the average number of days that would take your agency to respond. In other words, the agency had to respond. You were simply a placeholder. You have no real responsibility. You have your own views, not the views of the management. Almost every
I want to click that one off. I want just to kind of paint this out for the audience. The scenario here where the SEC wasn't making an assessment, there was holding up what was happening within companies, it costing companies who are trying to do the right thing with the SEC. I'm kind of curious. If I have an IPO, or maybe I'm looking at some sort of regulation filing with the SEC, is there any recourse from an individual, business owner or entity that's trying to do the right thing, and the SEC is kind of just sitting on their hands?
Well, there are a couple different issues here. If you're doing an IPO, my experience is typically the Department of Corporate Finance is very receptive, and you get in a working relationship with specific people within the division who kind of have a sense of ownership with respect to your deal, and they provide frequent and detailed responses in a normal period of time. So that's one issue. The other issue is, can you go in there with a problem or a new business concept that you want to, explore collaboratively with the SEC? And the answer there has really changed. And you hear this from a number of lawyers that I know who are still doing this, that when they used to advise, yes, let's go in and have an informal conversation with people I know inside the SEC and see if we can get some sort of reaction or some body language of how they're thinking about this business model, whether it's in crypto or something else. That is normally something we would advise regularly. And now, Hester Peirce really put her finger on it in that statement she put out on Friday, saying the people who approach the SEC in good faith are finding their good faith rewarded with an enforcement action. And that is just a really devastating statement by somebody inside the organization.
Yeah, and I think that's the scenario, obviously, that's playing out with really what's happening with Coinbase right now after the Wells notice. Obviously, an IPO approved on Wall Street, very successful company. And a lot of their intentions, in fact, the one even around staking, was involved and included in their filing with, for the IPO to kind of explain, hey, this is what we do, this is our company, this is our business model, all those kind of things. And then obviously we saw this with the Wells notice. I want to jump over to a couple more clips here. How many cases have you won and settled? This is by Lynch.
Chair Gensler, based on current law, of those 130 cases, those 130 enforcement actions, how many have you won? How many has the SEC prevailed on?
Many of them are settlements, but those that we've taken to court, we've won on the Howey analyses, these token issues, 6 or 8 times. We've won on other matters in front of the courts as well. So we've been quite successful throughout.
How are they not going to win? They're making up the rules as they go. How are they just going to not win? Like, if they're taking someone to court, of course they're going to win. They make the rules. You messed up the rules, you're losing. Like, it's it. Simple as that.
All right, so you look at that clip and you think, all right, so they're just trying to rack up wins here. Is this something that, lawmakers look at from the SEC in terms of a scorecard, or like, hey, you're doing your job? Or is it something that this is more internal, the more of the psyche of what the SEC attorneys and legislators are trying to do?
Yes, it is looked at as a scorecard by some in Congress, and they compare it against previous regimes. And in particular, how many cases have you initiated, which is really a weird way of judging, an agency that's supposed to be objective about, is there a violation here? Well, when they know that they've got to score points by bringing cases. Now, the win rate, people need to understand, just like federal prosecutors or state prosecutors have astronomically high win rates, well, that's because many, many of them are plea bargains. And so the SEC has two areas of leverage. Number one, a defendant cannot afford the multi-year fight with good lawyers. You have to have lawyers who understand SEC processes and complicated securities law issues, or you have no chance. And I can tell you, those lawyers are expensive. And so some of them just can't afford to fight, so they settle. And the second category is any public company must deal with other divisions of the SEC all the time. And so they don't want to get on the naughty list and the bad list or get on the list of, this public company just doesn't get it. And so therefore, we need to look at their 10Qs and 10Ks more carefully and question their accounting and all of this other stuff. It's just easier. Believe me, I have been in these conversations many, many times for big financial institutions. Look, I say, look, we've got really good defenses here. And they say, look, James, we need to make peace. This is our primary regulator. And so just go make the best deal we can.
So you're saying essentially that in most cases, companies are forced into settlements, not by the SEC pointing the arm, but just by the circumstances that exist in the way that the organization run and also in the aftermath of what could happen. So those are really kind of fake wins anyway, when you look at the overall performance of the SEC. I guess the real quality I would look at is how many taxpayers did they protect in those enforcement actions? Because that to me is kind of the big one here. I want to cut to a clip here on Posey. Did you have any? This was in reference to concerns around FTX. Let's play that clip.
Prior to the collapse of FTX, did you have any concerns with the company or question if they were breaking any securities laws or harming investors?
I think, if I might, I have had, since I've been in this job, a general concern about the field, and as expressed here today, about the non-compliance of this commingling of these various functions, and that they should come into compliance by separating exchange from broker-dealer, from what you might call a hedge fund function and other functions.
So with those concerns, did you direct your staff to look into FTX?
I want to stay at a little bit higher level, but I directed the staff to look into the crypto intermediaries and a wide range of crypto intermediaries. Yes, sir. Anything we do in our examination function, our investigative function, we protect that information and hold it confidential because it's important for the integrity of any investigation, but also for people's privacy. And often we find that we close investigations without bringing action. So there's a time-tested reason that you, of course, would want us to keep things confidential. So we only make them public when and if we either settle or bring charges.
Sad to hear that.
Yeah. Okay. So it's sad to hear that. Hiding the information from the American public. I love that. That's what all good governments do. All right. So with that being the case, I look again back to the aftermath of people.
No way he wasn't paid off. No way he wasn't paid off from FTX. Just saying. I don't know. I think they need to look into that, but that's just me.
People affected by that, because in some cases, if those kinds of actions, investigations could have been done or even revealed, I would imagine people don't necessarily like bank runs, but at least somebody might have been informed enough to possibly pull their money out before Sam Bankman-Fried and the team at FTX started to play, kind of whack-a-mole with those funds. Again, another scenario, is this normal practice for the SEC to go in and do all this investigation and not really release anything to the public?
Well, they're protecting what they did by the fact that they had filed a lawsuit against insiders at FTX. But, Congressman Posey was very gentle in the questioning there, but he was on to something profoundly important.
Yeah.
And that is FTX owned two SEC registered entities under laws that were passed in the wake of the collapse of Drexel Burnham Lambert.
Yeah.
The SEC was given the right to examine all the corporate structure, all owners, all affiliated entities, ever since Drexel Burnham Lambert, because Drexel Burnham Lambert took money from the broker dealer. The holding company extracted money from the broker dealer to prop up their business. The SEC saw what happened there. Congress said, we need to make sure that regulated entities, we see the entire picture. Now, Paul, this is so important.
Yeah.
The people who went into FTX immediately upon the bankruptcy, before the bankruptcy, John Ray, all of them have said it's a dumpster fire. There are no reliable financial information here. There is no corporate governance whatsoever. There is not a compliance function here. It is the worst thing any of us, this mass of lawyers and consultants, had seen in our entire careers. So if the SEC had done anything in granting these two securities licenses to FTX subsidiaries, they would have seen what John Ray saw. This is unexplained, and this is why. Gensler does not want to reveal anything about what happened there and what they found and what they investigated or what they failed to investigate. There were a number of people quitting the FTX, family of companies because of they were stunned by the lack of regular, typical corporate controls that you would have for any financial institution.
Yeah.
And so that they granted the securities licenses, met with Sam Bankman-Fried, and did nothing as $8 billion was stolen from investors. That needs to be investigated by somebody. And Gensler so far is being very successful in withholding all of the evidence of that.
Yeah, I think this.
Thanks for becoming a member, Mr. Chad Wicks. You're awesome. And Hugo Down, thanks for being a member for 13 months, buddy. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you link your YouTube with Discord. You'll have access to the VIP chat, and I give away hash rate. Actually, that's been given away to Steven Cicero for 24 hours. 9.3 gigahash on. He's mining Flux, actually, on it.
This is something that may end up be the item that ends up catching Gensler by the tail. Is there maybe a little bit more due diligence here from the senators and congressmen to kind of move in this direction? Mr. Barr also hit on this very point, talking about bank crypto custody services. Listen in on this one.
Meaning that banks cannot offer digital asset custody services at scale without significant balance sheet implications. If banks cannot provide digital asset custody services at scale, they simply will not offer those services, which could lead to market participants not having bank-grade custody solutions to pick from and will turn to offshore solutions, like in the Bahamas, diminishing American competitiveness and compromising investor protection. Chairman Gensler, has it occurred to you the irony that at the same time you pursued SAB 121, which has effectively precluded highly regulated banks from offering customers the safety and security of segregated digital asset custody services, not a single one of the 4,500 employees under your supervision at the SEC noticed that FTX was allowed to commingle customer funds, allowed FTX to trade, settle, custody, lend, and borrow digital assets without institutional-grade custody.
All right, so another big hit right there on Gensler and his performance. Obviously, that gets back to your point, James, about that very issue, the investigation, the preparation of being able to get those publicly traded companies approved. I mean, what kind of recourse is there with the SEC after this has already been proven that this occurred?
Well, there's that. And the other thing is, this is what I would say is a feature, not a bug in the system. This is intentional. Right. This is what people are calling choke point 2.0, is making it impossible for banks to serve as on and off ramps for crypto industry clients. And we've seen it time and time and time again. This is a concerted effort by our government without any legislation, authorizing this, just like choke point 1.0, where the banking regulators leaned on the banks to prevent them from providing services to gun manufacturers and sellers and payday lenders and other disfavored businesses, which were legal. We're seeing this now, and it's called choke point 2.0. And every bank, Signature Bank was taken over, according to Barney Frank, because they continued to serve these crypto companies, exchanges. And what's interesting, Paul, is in all of the stories about this Signature Bank scenario, none of them said, well, one of the problems at Signature Bank were losses on loans to crypto companies. None whatsoever. They were simply a service provider for wires and things of that nature to enable the business to function.
Yeah, this is the thing that it gets into the hypocrisy here for sure. Speaking of hypocrisy, we got a couple of clips here at the end. We got 2 clips left. You guys don't want to miss this one. Make sure and hit the like button if you do like these kinds of technical analysis and breakdowns, because this does affect, obviously, not only investing, but really your strategy.
Yeah, huge shout out to Paul Barron. They have a few more articles that we're actually going to continue to watch, but I do have his link down in the description below if you guys are interested. Go check them out.
he really kind of hits it home here. Listen to this clip.
From your perspective, is it more difficult now for the digital asset industry to access financial products and services in the United States than it was, say, 2 years ago?
Sir, I'm not running one of those businesses. If they came into compliance, I think
Reclaiming my time. The answer, sir, is yes. Do you think you and the SEC have had a role to play in that?
I think we have a role to protect the American investor and the capital markets. And
Reclaiming my time, sir. You have played an obvious role in that. During your
Ronnie.
Hive map D's nut, smiley face.
Ronnie, thanks for the $20 super chat, bro. You didn't have to do that. But yes, I know you like my new sweatshirt. Hive Mapper. Absolutely. But this guy, dude, this guy lights up Gensler right here. This is a riot. Ronnie. Oh, thank you again for the super chat. You didn't have to do that.
tenure at the SEC, how many rules has the SEC finalized that actually accommodate the existing regulatory framework and are specifically to the digital asset industry so the crypto market can come into compliance?
It's our rule books that are on the books for years, so we have not finalized any new rule specifically with regard to crypto. We've proposed some things in best execution. We've also...
Sir, reclaiming my time, the answer is 0. And how many enforcement actions has the SEC levied against digital asset companies during your tenure, sir?
I think it's probably 40 or 50.
The answer, sir, is about 55. My understanding is that the biggest crypto failure in history is probably FTX at $9 billion. Were you the chairman of the SEC when FTX collapsed?
Yes.
And how many times did you meet with FTX prior to their collapse?
I think my public record shows 2.
You met it with...
I gave him a hand job once. Just once.
With FTX at least twice. And arguably, the second biggest crypto failure in history was Terra Luna. Who was the chairman of the SEC when Terra Luna collapsed, sir?
We had brought...
You were, sir. Reclaiming my time. You were. There are 5 members on the commission. Do you believe your speeches and interviews are to serve as the official position of the SEC?
I can only speak for myself when I'm speaking.
Again, sir, in a statement on the SEC website, you are quoted saying, the Kraken staking as a service enforcement action should make clear to the marketplace that staking as a service providers must register. But again, you haven't provided any rules for how that can be done. I must remind you, your public statements are not regulations. It's not responsible to expect the American people to assume your statements are a substitute for rules. Do you agree with this statement regarding the digital asset industry? The SEC needs additional congressional authorities to prevent transactions, products, and platforms from falling between the regulatory cracks.
I think that it's a largely non-compliant field. And
sir, again, I asked you to comply with my questions, and I'm asking you if you agree with that quote. And I'm going to tell you, I'm quoting you from an August 3rd, 2021 article where you, and I believe you told Congressman Hill earlier that you need congressional authority to regulate stablecoins, and stablecoins happen to be a significant percentage of the crypto market. So the question is, when were you telling the truth? To Mr. Hill or to me? You've got to start answering these questions in a more transparent manner, sir. Does it concern you, by the way, that your approach to the digital asset industry is actually driving this industry out of the United States?
We're trying to drive it to compliance, and if they're not complying with the laws, then they shouldn't be offering their products.
Reclaiming my time. Madam Chair, I would like to enter into the record this Wall Street Journal article from April 14th, 2023, detailing China's ploy to open its banking system to crypto firms in an effort to seize an opportunity created by our hostile regulatory environment, which, Mr. Chair, you're a big part of.
Without objection.
Chair Gensler, FTX was domiciled abroad and so is Binance, yet American consumers still had access to both. You can't really think that pushing this industry abroad is going to protect American consumers when it hasn't several times in the past on your watch. You say the crypto market is rife with non-compliance. However, existing SEC rules make no sense for blockchain-based companies, and following them would actually kill these businesses. Your regulatory style lacks flexibility and nuance, and as a result, you've been an incompetent cop on the beat, doing nothing to protect everyday Americans and pushing American firms into the hands of the CCP. Your intention to work against SEC mission and put American investors in harm's way has been made very apparent, sir. It's been a year and a half since you've appeared before this committee. You need to answer to Congress about the issues that you've had with the SEC staff union, the work environment you've cultivated at the SEC that's led to hemorrhaging of senior staff, the intellectual inconsistency of your regulatory treatment towards Bitcoin spot ETFs, and your politicization of capital formation opportunities through your treatment of certain SPACs. And that's just to name a few.
Dude, that dude's pissed. He's so mad.
Man, I'll tell you, Emmer just got heated there.
Oh, my God.
Of course, he kind of hit home runs there on all those points. There's not much
I was making my coffee this morning when I listened to that. I didn't realize how intense he got. That's wild.
They say about that issue. I think the bigger scenario is they seem to be loaded for bear here. Do you think that they actually have a line on being able to oust him as chair?
on the loaded for bear, you're absolutely right. And I think that's a good thing. It seems like you see.
Do you think they put Gensler on suicide watch after this hearing yesterday? just in case that guy freaking lit him up. You guys in the chat, he was going ham. Someone says boom. Oh my gosh, it's insane.
McHenry and Emmer and Davidson on social media responding to people, expressing a lot of consternation, frustration about what is going on with the SEC. And when you have an agency that says all you have to do is come in and register, and we all know that is completely disingenuous, because if you're an exchange and you want to come in and register, that means you must delist every single asset on your platform except Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum if they'll tell you. And so you don't have much of a business left. And so it's disingenuous. Whereas, as you and I talked about last time, Europe, with 27 different countries and agendas, all got together on a comprehensive regulatory regime to allow crypto trading and very stringent rules around custody of crypto assets and protecting investors, the whole 9 yards. They pulled it off, and instead, we're simply shipping these companies offshore.
Yeah, and obviously the statement here he's got in terms of China starting to pose into the position at least of giving these safe havens to some of these international companies, which of course, if you look at the just the activity of what's happening in Asia and even in the Middle East to a certain extent, a lot of things are starting to shift on the landscape of the global power, especially when it comes to the reserve asset being the dollar. I want to end up on this last clip, James, and then a couple of questions. And I have a crypto scorecard for you guys to see at the end that will give you a lineup of who we think is pro-crypto in the lawmaker set, who's in the middle and who's on the fence, and then who's anti-crypto. But I want to play this last clip coming in from Mr. Davidson.
Chairman Gensler, in advance of today's hearing, did you coordinate acceptable responses with Senator Elizabeth Warren?
There it is.
No, I'm speaking on my own behalf.
He's like, we just shared a cigarette outside. Nothing more than that, sir.
Coordinate with Democratic staff. And I asked because it happened before, and I want to be clear whether you operate of your own accord or whether there's some sort of coordinated approach to the damage that you're inflicting on America's capital markets.
I'm here as sitting in my role as chair of the agency, but I speak and I get remarkable support by SEC staff.
All right. Well, I have a few quick questions where a yes or no answer will suffice. Chairman Gensler, part of the SEC's mission is to protect investors. Does the SEC review pre-IPO documents?
He's like, what's an IPO?
I think you said pre-IPO documents. You're supposed to, if you're going to take a company public, the staff of the SEC does review those to see that they're in compliance.
Correct. Is Coinbase a publicly traded company?
I'm sorry?
Is Coinbase publicly traded?
Yes.
All right. So the SEC allowed pension funds and retail investors to invest in a company, Coinbase, that you apparently, from prior remarks, believe was engaging in illegal activity. All of their activities were laid out in their public filings in the S1 prior to the IPO. You did say that you believe Coinbase is selling unregistered securities, correct?
Again, I'm not going to speak to anyone.
No, but you said that they're selling unregistered securities. This is your public comments.
Didn't they file a suit against them? What do you mean? You don't know? You're not going to say anything?
I think, with all respect, I look forward to you finding that because I'm trying to be very careful. I'm not speaking
we'll help
about
refresh
any
your
one
memory.
company.
In the Kim Kardashian settlement, the SEC stated that Ethereum Max is a security. She reached a settlement for promoting an unregistered security. The unregistered security is Ethereum Max. Have you charged the issuers of Ethereum Max for offering an unregistered security?
We reached a settlement with a celebrity, Ms. Kardashian.
Yeah, but not. She just promoted it. She doesn't operate Ethereum.
And she just paid your ass because she didn't want to deal with you guys. And she has enough money to do so. Oh my God.
Max, have you said that Ethereum Max is an unregistered security to the people that offer it?
We did in that settlement, yes, sir.
Okay, it's still trading. What about Ethereum? Is Ethereum now a security?
We had this
I heard your exchange. They've been in place since 2015. You say in your statements that there's clarity in the market and the rules are clear. Just come on in. You can't even answer the question. Do you say XRP is a security?
Well, we're in court and active discussions and litigation on that.
You're in litigation because you do say it's a security. As you know, let's move on a little bit. As you know, qualified custodian banks would effectively be unable to provide crypto asset-related custody as a result of punitive capital impact under accounting provisions in Staff Accounting Bulletin 121. Do you agree that the bulletin should be amended?
I think that the staff addressed an accounting issue, and appropriately saw that crypto assets held in custody today are not segregated or not bankruptcy remote in bankruptcy and should be appropriately put on public company financials.
I wish I had time to go into the ESG rule and everything else, but Chairman Gensler, your record of failures to protect investors and abuses of power make it clear that we need to restructure the Securities and Exchange Commission. The failures are many, but let me cite some of the abuses. You average more than 2 rules proposals a month. You provide inappropriately short comment periods. You have unworkable and unlawful ESG disclosure mandates on the market. You have essentially a Hotel California rule for crypto where you can check in anytime you like, but you can never leave. You have endless discovery with no resolution and no clarity for the captives in the market. You have unworkable proposals for overhauling equity market structure, a de facto ban on crypto through proposed custody rule. You have high staff turnover, unhappy people leaving your office, and unhappy companies and capital leaving our country. To correct a long series of abuses, I'm introducing legislation that removes the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission and replaces the role with an executive director that reports to the board where all authority would reside. Former chairs of the SEC will be ineligible under my proposed bill. And this isn't just my take. It resonates across the political spectrum. The American people want democratic access to capital, retail investor participation. You can't just exclude retail investors from markets and claim it's for their own good. Our markets need to function and flourish, and I yield back.
That's
all right,
amazing.
I think, with Davidson there, he's hit on a couple of things there. First of all,
I mean, how do you guys feel about all that, right? So to me, it seems like everybody in that room is on the other side of the coin, and Gary is on, the face, right? Because he's the head of he's calling all the shots, but nobody agrees with him because he's just shutting shit down when he doesn't even know what he's shutting down. He can't even give a goddamn straight answer if it's a security or a commodity. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it seems like everybody else is against him. So I can't wait to see him. I don't know. I can't wait to see where this goes, to be honest. They just got to replace him at this point because it's just insane.
Their
RIP.
attempt to try to displace Gensler through some sort of committee alignment, would that...
Dude, Steven Cicero, thanks for the gifted 5 memberships. You didn't have to do that, man. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. You're awesome. 2 Bros Mining, Casual Mining, Nerd Beast, D White, and Diesel 846. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
even be something that could be done, in your opinion, going forward, or do you think it's going to stay status quo?
Yeah, it will not work. The SEC chairman serves at the pleasure of the president. So Davidson is being creative here in restructuring the SEC to eliminate the chair. That could be done, I think, but that requires the signature of President Biden. So it's not going to happen. But, you know, it's a creative way of going at it. The only way Congress could get rid of Gensler would be impeachment. Or Biden could fire him. Otherwise, he's there, for the duration.
Biden fell asleep halfway through the beginning of this thing. They're saying he could fire him or they can impeach him. So that'd be interesting. What do you guys think? I should put a poll in the chat. I'm going to put a poll in the chat just because it'd be funny. Let's see.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how much egg on the face of the president does Chair Gensler position, because I think politically wise, from a political standpoint, that's really going to be starting to play into it. Obviously, we already have seen kind of a division of the bipartisan ranks start to show up in this particular hearing. In fact, during the part one, this was our scorecard. I'll show you guys this. Make sure and take a screenshot of this, because this is what we established just listening into the, I think, 3.5 hours of the hearing. And you can kind of see the pro-crypto from McHenry, Wagner Hill, Vasquez, Sessions, Posey, etc., Huizenga, Barr. You guys will probably recognize most of these lawmakers' names. If you don't, find out who is yours,
Chairman
because
Gensler,
the likelihood
in advance of today's hearing,
that you can jump in on these.
Acceptable responses with Senator Elizabeth Warren.
But the point is that if you guys are out there, sorry for that, guys. If you guys are out there within your own communities, this is a great spot for you to maybe start reaching out to these people. So take a look at that scorecard again. We'll probably drop this on social media for you guys to get access to. But we've got a lot of lawmakers that kind of were walking both sides of the fence, and then very few anti-crypto. And it was Waters, Sherman, Lynch, Himes, Beatty, Meeks, and Vargas were the only ones that we felt kind of landed. So, I mean, it feels like this is a little bit overweighted on the pro-digital assets position. With that many lawmakers, James, do you think that anything will come of this, or do you think Chair Gensler is just going to go on his merry way, get a new budget, and keep on trucking?
That's what I'm wondering.
I think the House may try to do something with respect to the budget, but it probably won't get through the Senate. With respect to your list, I think it's really important. This is an important issue for people to understand where people stand. One name I'd call out, Paul, as kind of a hero, really, is this Richie Torres, a Democrat from the Bronx. This guy is 35 years old, and he in a solidly Democratic district. And he said to Gensler, you shouldn't be going after Coinbase. You need to go after exchanges like FTX, where they're committing fraud. You're wasting your time directing it there. And he asked other questions that revealed that he's quite knowledgeable in the area of crypto, and he's 35 years old. And so he doesn't have this knee-jerk reaction of horror to an innovation in financial services like Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger or Janet Yellen, or on and on and on and on. So I was very pleased to hear him speak out. He could be a very important player going forward.
Interesting too, because obviously he being on the Democratic side of the aisle, because this isn't lined up by any particular side. It's looking at it really more from an entire position case. So keep a good eye on where this is going, guys, because as I said, this is the one thing for you to do, whether it's on social or directly emailing and or calling your congressman or your House rep's office to be able to express your opinions and concerns about these things, because that will at least keep the
I wouldn't advise to call them.
Attention on what's happening in the space. James, it's always fun having you. I want to jump over to our poll real quick and
let's just
get into it right here. Will Congress and the House actually move to fire Gensler?
Oh, wow.
People are thinking maybe yes.
They had 1,600 votes. 64% say yes. That's funny. And I actually agree with Hobbyist Miner in the chat. He said, what did he say? Biden firing our boy Gary would do well for Biden. Easy win for him. Break out that ban hammer, rather. Yeah, that's true, actually, because, I mean, let's be real. I mean, our president's our president, right? But he hasn't really shown his, his strong hand. So if he did that, I feel like a lot more people would like Mr. Joe Biden on this side of crypto anyways, right? I don't know.
64%.
That's
I think
crazy.
this might be a little bit, I feel like we're in for a lot longer run here with Chair Gensler moving in. Just a couple of questions in from the PBN crowd. Jen Smith comes in, kind of thought this would be positive for Coinbase stock. I think the scenario there, Jen, is, you're just still dealing with the issue of all of this being kind of front and center. And I think that in itself, you don't ever want to be in a congressional hearing and your name gets mentioned very often. And I think that's the scenario, because, the average person might not necessarily. Back to your point, here's Quad Q says, I hope Judge Torres watched this farce. Obviously, Judge Torres, the
XRP,
judge on
right?
the XRP and Ripple case. And do they have any authority to fire him?
I wonder, what do you guys think? What do you guys think would happen with that? If the judge watched this this whole shit show here and the XRP case, how would that help? That's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
Back to your point, you're saying that they can do an impeachment action, but other than that, it really takes the president to initiate something.
That's correct. That is correct.
That was the worst thing of today's interview. James, I mean, as far as, when you look at this, of how this will happen going forward. James, it's always fun getting your opinion.
Well, huge shout out to the Paul Barron Network. If you guys don't know who he is, go check him out. I will leave a link again down in the description below, and I'll throw this in the live chat for you guys. But yeah, man, crazy show today. Also, Mr. Altcoin Daily had a video too. If you guys want, go check that out. I don't have time to do it, unfortunately. I do have to do daddy duty stuff, but everything's red today. I don't know if this has to do with the whole meeting, but look at this. Again, the FTT token. It's the only one that's up on the day besides whatever this one is. What's this one? Zilliqa. Man, that's tiny, but everything else, man, total crap. Oh, I didn't even notice they had this list down here. What in the hell? That's kind of cool. Can I see this? It's kind of neat. Crypto bubbles. This is neat. Over the week, let's see. Like, why are people still investing into this? Get out of this FTT token. Like, what is wrong with you? I don't understand it. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'm going to end the poll. In the chat. Fired by Biden, 58% of people. That's hysterical. You guys are awesome. Impeached, 42%. All right. 45 votes. You guys are great. Again, Fear and Greed Index, 63. Sorry for blinding you guys. And yeah, go check out Hero Miners if you guys are interested in this. We'll be doing a video later today. How to mine Ironfish. Hopefully later today. Either that or tomorrow morning. But Again, they're doing $10,000 for an airdrop, 0% pool fee, fee-free mining. They're going to be, what's it called? Giving it away to 35 different hero miners over on the hero miners pool, mining Ironfish, and no hash rate. Let's see right here. There are no hash rate requirements or restrictions. Everyone is equal here. So this is what I mainly wanted to show you guys. Oh, where is it? Right there. That is a big deal. You can put one GPU on it and have a chance to win $10,000. So if you're going to mine Ironfish and say you don't like hero miners, I would definitely at least advise just throw one GPU on it. Not financial advice, but hey, if you win, it'd be awesome. There you go. First, second, and third place, 5 miners for 1,000, 5 miners for 500, and 25 miners for $100. $300 to $300, in my opinion. But anyways, you guys are awesome. 90 gigahash on Ironfish, said Backwards Miner. You have 90 gigahash on Ironfish? For real? And Rondi, you can't tell me you don't like this sweatshirt. This thing's sick. Look at that. Hive Mapper. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like the logo too. This sweatshirt's actually pretty comfortable. The strings are a little but it's a nice sweatshirt. Let's see. Rabbit and Panda have done guides on setting up Ironfish mining. Yes, and I will be doing one as well. I'm going to try to do it live with you guys, so we'll see. I'm going to do probably Windows and Hive OS if I can. That's going to be the plan. I'm not going to set up a wallet, though. I'm going to have you guys go to check out their videos, set up the wallet, because as of right now, you need to have a node to be able to get your address, right? Your receiving address. So yeah, I'm not going to go through doing all that. I'm just going to use somebody else's and set up the mining, show you guys how to do it, and then you guys can figure out what wallet you want to use once it goes to mainnet, because I think there is another wallet you can use. Windows gang. Yeah, unfortunately. I don't mind on Windows usually. I don't mind on this PC. I don't know how it's going to go when we... I'll just turn it on for a second and then shut it off. Joker Miner, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I thought it was a pretty interesting video. Anyways, and again, huge shout out to Paul Barron. So go check him out. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments or whatever, and then we'll go from there. Son of a Tech did a good Ubuntu for Ironfish node. I saw that, Carl Code. Actually, I did see that. 4090 later today, said Backwards Miner. You getting a 4090? Good for you, man. 4.43 gigahash on the 4070. Yes, I actually did a video on the 4070 hash rates. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Where are we? Gotta go to my channel. I did like a 3-minute video. It seems like a lot of people like that, actually. It was like 3 minutes and, I don't know, 50 seconds or something. And let's see. Let me pause this real quick. So this video, let me share it with you guys. This one right here. I will send it to you, but I timestamped everything. Ironfish. Where is it? Yes, this one right here. What did I get? Yeah, 4.33. So Rondi actually clocked this because he's mining it anyways. So yeah, if you could see 4.33 gigahash. And these were the clocks right here for the 4070, if anybody's interested. But here's the video. Let's see. The Hobbyist Miner did an Ironfish video release today. Nice, nice. Yeah, I'll be doing it too. Let's see. I love it, said Mr. Rondi. Of course you do. Of course you do. All right. Anyways, Chris GTR, you cold up there, man? No, it's not cold. It's not bad. It's, I don't know. I just like, I'm comfortable in sweatshirts, right? It's kind of like wearing PJs to Walmart. It's acceptable at this point. All right, guys, have a good day. I'll catch you guys later on today around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If not 2 p.m., it'll be a little bit later, depending, because I have a few errands I got to do in the afternoon. But hopefully you guys have a good day at work. Happy, what's today? Today's hump day, right? Happy Wednesday. 2 more days till the weekend. I'll see you guys in a few hours. Peace out.